Before the world had names, before men spoke prayers to their gods, there was only the whisper of the void and the breath of endless night. In that darkness older than time and deeper than memory, something stirred, a presence born not of flesh but of shadow and flame. They called her Hecate, though even that name came later, carved by trembling lips of mortals who would never truly know her. She was not born as others were, for no womb could hold the essence of night itself. She rose where the three paths of the cosmos met, the living world, the realm of spirits, and the unseen darkness that sleeps between them. And as she stepped forth from the abyss, twin torches burned in her hands, casting light where none had been before. The Ancient Ones spoke of her as a guide, a keeper, a watcher at the thresholds where one thing becomes another. Yet in truth, Hecate was more than all of that. She was the silent breath before a curse is spoken, the stillness in the forest before the storm breaks, the chill that slips into a dream and will not leave. The stars bent their light toward her, and the moon, pale and watchful, crowned her queen of the Crossroads. Wolves howled when she walked beneath the black branches, and spirits followed her path in reverent silence. In the age when gods still bled and giants walked the earth, Hecate wandered between worlds. She did not seek worship, for power was already woven into her being, yet mortals, desperate and trembling, came to her. They built hidden altars at the meeting of three roads and left offerings of honey, blood, and smoke. They whispered their darkest wishes, begged for justice, vengeance, or forbidden love, and in return, she gave them glimpses of what lay beyond the veil. For Hecate saw what others could not. The threads of fate twisting like serpents, the rise and fall of kingdoms still unborn. But not all looked upon her with reverence. The bright gods of Olympus feared her, for they could not bind her nor command her. They whispered her name only in darkness, calling her witch, shadow, and harbinger. Yet even they, in their pride, turned to her when their power faltered, for none could navigate the chasms between life and death as she could. And when the dead called out from the underworld, it was Hecate who answered, torch in hand, guiding lost souls through the mist. She walked beside the moon as its shadow, a silent twin watching from the other side of the light. She was there when lovers met in secret under the stars, and when curses took root in the hearts of the betrayed. She whispered to the first witches, teaching them how to draw power from darkness, how to bend flame and shadow into tools of will. They called themselves her daughters, and they spread her name across forgotten lands, weaving her essence into spells that still linger in the world. Time, that devourer of all things, could not touch her. Kingdoms rose and crumbled into dust, languages vanished, and even gods fell silent. But Hecate endured, always at the crossroads, always between worlds she remained, neither light nor dark, neither life nor death. To invoke her name was to invite the unknown, to walk willingly into the spaces between reality and dream. And those who dared found that the night itself had a voice, soft, ancient, and unyielding. Thus was Hecate born, not as a daughter of men or gods, but as the child of night itself. She was the flame in the void, the watcher of thresholds, the queen of what lies beyond. And though the world has changed beyond recognition, her shadow still lingers where the roads meet, waiting for those who seek what should not be sought. For Hecate is not gone. She has never been gone. She is the breath of the dark between heartbeats, and the whisper that follows every step you take into the unknown. Tone, that devourer of all things, could not touch her. Kingdoms rose and crumbled into dust, languages vanished, and even gods fell silent. But Hecate endured, always at the crossroads, always between worlds she remained, neither light nor dark, neither life nor death. To invoke her name was to invite the unknown, to walk willingly into the spaces between reality and dream. And those who dared found that the night itself had a voice, soft, ancient, and unyielding. Thus was Hecate born, not as a daughter of men or gods, but as the child of night itself. She was the flame in the void, the watcher of thresholds, the queen of what lies beyond. And though the world has changed beyond recognition, her shadow still lingers where the roads meet, waiting for those who seek what should not be sought, for Hecate is not gone. She has never been gone. She is the breath of the dark between heartbeats, and the whisper that follows every step you take into the unknown. There is a place where all things converge, where the boundaries between worlds grow thin, and even time itself pauses to listen. It is not marked on any map, yet every soul that has ever lived has felt its pull. It is the crossroads, the sacred space where three paths meet and where choices carry the weight of eternity. And at the heart of this eternal junction stands Hecate, the keeper of thresholds, the guardian of what was, what is, and what might yet be. Her torches burn with unearthly light, casting long shadows that twist and dance across the forgotten stones beneath her feet. No mortal builds these roads. They are woven from the fabric of fate itself, and each one leads to a destiny that cannot be unwalked. The first road stretches into the world of the living, lined with memories, triumphs, and sorrows. It is familiar and warm, yet fleeting as a breath. The second road descends into the realm of the dead, where silence reigns and echoes of what once was linger like smoke in the air. The third is the most dangerous of all, the hidden path that winds through the unseen, through dreams and madness. Where forgotten gods and nameless spirits dwell, few dare to walk it, and fewer still return unchanged. It is here where these three roads converge that Hecate's power is strongest. It is here that the choices of mortals and immortals alike are made, broken, and remade. Travelers who come to the crossroads often do so unknowingly. A woman seeking revenge for a life stolen from her may find herself drawn to the moonlit clearing. A man haunted by grief may stumble upon it in a dream. Witches, prophets, and desperate souls have sought it intentionally, carrying offerings of honey, blood, or iron keys to win the favor of the mistress who dwells there. They whisper their pleas into the night, knowing that Hecate hears not the words they speak, but the truth that lives beneath them. She does not grant every request, nor does she punish every fool who dares approach. Instead, she shows them the roads that lie ahead, each lit by her twin torches, each demanding a choice. Legends tell of those who stood before her and felt their lives split apart. Some chose the familiar path and returned unchanged, clinging to the safety of what they knew. Others dared the descent and found wisdom in the silence of the dead. And a few, trembling yet unyielding, stepped onto the third road and vanished into the unknown. Some returned with eyes that saw beyond sight, some returned as shadows of themselves, and some never returned at all. But the crossroad is more than a place of decision. It is a mirror held up to the soul. Under Hecate's watchful gaze, lies and illusions crumble. She sees the hunger behind the prayer, the fear beneath the defiance. She knows that every choice carries a price and that no path is truly free. And so she offers no promises, only the torchlight to guide and the silence in which to choose. Those who walk away unchanged were never truly there. Those who walk away transformed understand that they have not merely chosen a path, they have chosen who they are. The gods themselves are not immune to the power of the Crossroads. Even they must sometimes bow before the Keeper's will, for every fate, mortal or divine, passes through the space she guards. There are whispers that even death itself pauses there, unsure of which road it must follow when the worlds shift and the balance trembles. And in those rare moments when the veil between realms thins and the wind carries forgotten names, Hecate walks the paths herself, guiding spirits home or casting them into the void where even memory cannot follow. So the Crossroads endures, older than temples, deeper than prayers, a place where the universe itself takes a breath. And Hecate endures with it, torches raised, eyes fixed on all who stand before her. She does not lead, she does not follow, she waits, and when you come, as all must come, you will find her there, silent and eternal, watching as you stand before the three roads. And you will understand then what countless souls have understood before you, that destiny is not found at the end of a path, but in the courage it takes to choose one. In the depths beneath the earth, where light has never dared to dwell, the air is heavy with silence and memory. It is here, in the forgotten corridors of the underworld, that Hecate's power burns brightest. The living call her the torchbearer, yet few truly understand what that means. Her flames are not mere fire. They are ancient light, born before the sun itself, woven from the breath of night and the heartbeat of chaos. They do not simply banish darkness, they reveal what the darkness hides. With one torch she illuminates the path of the living. With the other she pierces the veil that shrouds the dead. Together, they guide the lost, protect the seekers, and punish those who walk unworthy through the realms that lie beyond mortal sight. Legends say that the first torches were not forged by hand, but born in the same instant that Hecate herself emerged from the void. As she stepped into being, the twin flames sprang to life in her grasp, one bright as the moon's crown, the other black as the void between stars. Where their light touched, the boundaries of the worlds trembled. The dead stirred in their endless slumber, and the shadows recoiled from their hiding places. Even the ancient gods turned their faces away, for in that light they saw truths too terrible to bear. It is said that when Hecate first descended into the underworld, the gates opened not with keys, but with the glow of her torches. The stone guardians bowed their heads, and the rivers of the dead whispered her name. She walked the silent halls where countless souls drifted, lost and forgotten, and with her flame she gave them direction. Some she guided toward rebirth, others she led deeper into shadow, and a few she cast into the chasm where even the gods dare not gaze. None resisted her will, for her light burned with the authority of the cosmos itself. But the torches were not merely tools of guidance, they were weapons as well. When creatures older than the gods crawled from the darkness to devour the souls of the dead, Hecate raised her twin flames and cast them into the blackness. Fire roared where no fire should exist, and shadows screamed as they were torn apart. The balance of the worlds held firm, not by decree of Olympus, nor by the chains of fate, but by the will of the torchbearer who walked between them. Mortals who glimpsed Hecate in the night spoke of a figure cloaked in starlight, her torches burning brighter than any earthly flame. They built shrines at crossroads and graveyards, leaving offerings to earn her favor. They called upon her to light their way through the darkest moments, not only through death, but through grief, betrayal, and despair. And sometimes, when the night was still and the wind carried the scent of smoke and earth, they saw her torches flicker in the distance as if to say, "I am near. You are not alone in the dark." Yet Hecate's light is not a gift freely given. Those who seek it must be prepared to see what it reveals. The truths buried deep within themselves, the shadows they have tried to hide. Her flames do not comfort, they expose, they burn away illusion and lay bare the soul beneath. And many who have stood before them have turned away, unable to bear the sight of what they truly are. But those who do not flee, those who accept the fire's gaze, find that the darkness loses its teeth. They walk forward not with fear, but with understanding. The underworld is vast and endless, a labyrinth of forgotten memories and unspoken names, and yet, wherever the torches of Hecate burn, there is a path, faint perhaps and perilous, but a path nonetheless. It winds through despair and across the chasms of the unknown, always forward, always deeper. And at the end of that path lies not an ending, but a beginning. A rebirth shaped by shadow and flame. So remember, when night falls heavy and the air grows cold, when the world feels darker than it has ever been, the torches of Hecate still burn. They burn in graveyards and crossroads, in the hearts of witches and the prayers of the desperate. They burn in places unseen where life and death entwine. And one day, when your own journey leads you into the depths, you too will see them blazing in the blackness, guiding you onward. Twin flames held aloft by the hand of the daughter of the night. Beneath the roots of the mortal world, past the rivers of memory and sorrow, there is a silence older than the first dawn. It is here, in the deep halls where the dead drift like whispers through eternity, that Hecate's presence is most feared and most revered. She is not merely a guide to the departed. She is the keeper of the pact that binds the living to the dead, the weaver of the thread that ensures that death is not chaos but order. Without her, the realms would tear apart, and the dead would pour into the land of the living like a tide that cannot be turned. It is said that in the first days, before the gods claimed their thrones and mortals knew the names of their souls, the dead wandered aimlessly. They roamed the fields of shadow without purpose, clinging to the echoes of what they had been. Some refused to let go of the world above, haunting those they once loved. Others became lost in despair, unable to find rest. The balance trembled, and even the stars shuddered at the weight of so much unrest. And so Hecate descended into the void, torch in hand, and spoke words that had never before been uttered. Words that would become the first covenant between life and death. The pact was simple and yet eternal. The living would one day cross into shadow, and the dead would remain beyond the veil, but they would not be forgotten. Offerings would be made, names would be spoken, and stories would keep their memory alive. In return, the dead would not claw their way back into the world they had left, and the balance between realms would remain. It was not a law enforced by fear, but a bond forged in respect. a recognition that life and death were not enemies but partners in the endless cycle of existence. Hecate sealed this pact not with blood but with fire. Her torches burned brighter than ever as she walked among the spirits, teaching them the paths they must follow. To some she offered rest in fields beyond pain. To others she granted rebirth in the turning wheel of time. And to those whose hearts were too dark, whose souls had feasted on cruelty and malice, she offered no peace at all. They were cast into deeper shadow, where even memory could not reach. Thus was justice woven into the fabric of the pact, a justice that even the gods would one day answer to. Mortals soon felt the weight of this covenant. They built altars and lit candles for their dead, leaving offerings of bread, wine, and honey at the crossroads where Hecate walked. They spoke the names of ancestors into the wind, believing that their words would cross the veil and be heard. And sometimes when the air was still and the moon hung heavy, they felt the dead stir in response, not as ghosts clawing for life, but as quiet presence watching over those they had left behind. Through these rituals, the living upheld their part of the pact, and the realms remained separate yet bound. But the pact was not without its dangers. There were always those who sought to break it, witches who hungered for forbidden power, necromancers who tried to drag souls back into flesh, kings who demanded immortality. These acts tore at the fabric of the veil and threatened to unleash chaos. And each time, Hecate came forth, her torches blazing, to restore what had been broken. Some she warned, some she punished, and some she erased from memory entirely, as if they had never been, for the pact could not be undone. It was older than Olympus, older than death itself. Even now, long after temples have fallen and names have been forgotten, the pact endures. When candles burn in windows for those who are gone, when tears fall into the earth at gravesides, when whispers rise into the night asking for one more moment, Hecate hears, and she remembers. She walks the thin places where the living brush against the dead, watching, guarding, ensuring that the balance holds. One day each soul will stand before her. Torchlight will cut through the darkness, and the way forward will be revealed. There will be no bargaining, no turning back, only the path that has always awaited. And when you step across that threshold, when the breath leaves your lips for the last time, you will feel her presence beside you, the keeper of the pact, the daughter of the night, the one who ensures that death is not the end, but part of the eternal story that binds us all. There is a secret bond between Hecate and the moon, a thread woven through time and shadow, older than the world and deeper than the tides. The moon is her mirror, her ally, and her cloak. It waxes and wanes as she does, shifting between light and darkness, revealing only what must be seen and hiding all else in mystery. Where the moonlight touches the earth, Hecate's presence is near. Where its shadow falls, her power is strongest. To understand her is to understand the night sky itself. For just as the moon belongs to the darkness, so too does Hecate belong to the spaces that light cannot reach. long before mortals charted the stars or named the constellations. The moon and Hecate were bound. When she first stepped into existence, torches blazing in her hands, the moon crowned her with its pale glow, choosing her as its companion. Together they watched over the world below, one from above, one from the crossroads where the living and the dead entwined. The moon lit the paths that mortals walked, while Hecate guarded the places where those paths ended. And as the moon cycled through its phases, so too did her influence shift, gentle and guiding beneath the crescent, fierce and unyielding beneath the full and hidden, silent, yet potent, beneath the dark. It was in the shadowed phase when the moon turned its face away and the night grew thick and heavy that Hecate's power stirred most deeply. Mortals feared the dark moon, for it brought dreams of forgotten names and whispers from beyond the veil. Wolves howled without reason, fires burned blue instead of gold, and the wind carried voices that spoke of things not meant to be known. But the wise understood that this was not a time of fear, but of potential. It was then that Hecate walked closest to the earth, guiding witches and wanderers alike through visions and revelations. It was then that the veil thinned and truths hidden even from the gods could be glimpsed in the stillness. The ancients built rituals around these cycles, timing their offerings to the rhythm of moon and shadow. On nights when the moon was new, they lit black candles and whispered prayers not for light, but for the courage to face what dwelled in darkness. They knew that Hecate's gift was not safety but sight, the kind of sight that cuts through illusion and reveals the heart of what is. And many who dared such rites spoke of visions that haunted them for the rest of their days. The faces of the dead, the weight of forgotten oaths, and sometimes their own future death staring back at them through the smoke. Even the gods watched the moon's shadow with caution. It was said that when its darkness reached deepest, Hecate walked paths even they could not follow. She spoke with things older than Olympus, older than chaos and creation, and returned with knowledge they feared to hear. For in the shadow, truth has no mask, and truth is the one force even the divine cannot command. Yet Hecate's connection to the moon was not born of dominion, but of kinship. Both existed between, neither fully one thing nor another. The moon was not of the sun nor of the earth, but a wanderer between them. Hecate was not of life nor of death, but the bridge that bound them. In their duality lay their strength, and through their cycles the universe kept its balance. Where the moon waxed, Hecate's torch guided new beginnings. Where it waned, her shadow prepared the way for endings. And in the silent moments between the two, she stood still and watched, holding the fabric of worlds together with nothing more than her presence. Those who walk by moonlight know her well. Even if they do not speak her name, they feel her in the pull of the tide, in the chill that follows a whispered spell, in the hush that falls before the first cry of an owl. And when the moon disappears entirely and the night seems endless, they feel her most strongly of all. Standing beside them, torch raised, reminding them that darkness is not the absence of light, but its cradle. For Hecate is the shadow the moon cannot cast without. She is the silence that gives shape to sound, the void from which all things rise. And though the moon may fade from the sky, though the world may drown in darkness, her watch does not end. She waits at the edge of light and night, patient and eternal. And when you lift your eyes to the blackened sky, you will feel her gaze upon you. She has been here since before the stars, and she will remain long after they burn out. The daughter of the night, the torch in the void, the shadow of the moon. Long before the word witch was spoken with fear or reverence, before kingdoms rose and temples crowned the hills, there were women in the shadowed forests of Thessaly who listened to the whispers of the night. They were not queens or priestesses, not warriors or slaves. They were something older, something nameless. They were the first daughters of Hecate. They felt her presence in the flicker of torchlight between trees, in the chill that fell with the moon's rise, in the way the wind itself seemed to speak. They did not worship her as mortals worship gods. They followed her, walked the path she revealed, and became extensions of her will in the world of flesh and blood. The women of Thessaly were feared even before they spoke their first incantation. Villagers claimed they could call storms with a glance, silence wolves with a breath, and pluck secrets from the dreams of sleeping men. They lived apart, deep in groves where no roads led, where the earth pulsed with old power. And there, under the light of a moon that seemed to burn brighter for them, they learned the craft. Hecate whispered into their bones. They traced symbols in the soil that glowed faintly in the dark. They spoke words not of any tongue known to humankind. And when they raised their hands, the world listened. Wind shifted, rivers stilled, and shadows bent to their will. But their power did not come from arrogance or hunger. Hecate taught them first not to command nature, but to understand it. To feel the pulse beneath the soil, the heartbeat of the wind, the breath of fire. They learned that every herb carried memory, every stone a story, every drop of blood a promise. And with that knowledge came the understanding that power was not theirs to own but to borrow, and that every act of magic carried a weight. The witches accepted this burden with solemn hearts, binding themselves to the laws of balance that Hecate embodied. Not all welcomed them. Kings and priests feared their influence, calling them harbingers of chaos, whisperers of forbidden truths. Armies were sent to burn their groves, but the fires never caught. Hunters vanished in the mist before they reached the witches' halls. And those who returned spoke of strange lights in the forest and voices calling their names from the darkness. In time, even the bravest learned to stay away. Thessaly became a place of warning, a land where men dared not tread after sunset, for fear of crossing the daughters of the night. The witches themselves cared little for the hatred of men. They were bound by something deeper. Hecate appeared to them not as a goddess on a throne, but as a shadow at the crossroads. A torch in the fog, a whisper in their dreams. She taught them how to read omens in the flight of ravens, how to weave charms from moonlight and bone, how to cross the veil and speak to the dead without losing themselves. And in return, they offered her devotion, not of blind obedience, but of shared purpose. They became her eyes and hands in the mortal realm, guiding fate in ways unseen. Some legends say the witches could leave their bodies behind and soar through the night as owls and wolves. Others claim they could weave storms from strands of their own hair, or curse a king with a single spoken name. Whether these tales are truth or fear-twisted lies, one thing is certain. They change the course of the world. Their knowledge spread, carried by wandering pilgrims and fleeing exiles. And the craft of Thessaly took root far beyond its borders. Even now, in places where the old ways still linger, fragments of their magic survive. A charm whispered over a newborn, a ward scratched into a door frame, a prayer murmured to the dark. But the witches of Thessaly themselves are gone, their groves swallowed by time, their names erased from memory. All that remains are echoes, stories told around fire, symbols carved into forgotten stones. And the sense, in certain moonlit forests, that someone is watching from just beyond sight. And yet Hecate remembers, she remembers every daughter who knelt beneath her torchlight, every oath sworn in shadow, every spell cast in her name. Their blood runs in the veins of every witch who has come since. Their whispers live on in every incantation spoken beneath the moon. They were the first to walk beside her, the first to understand that power is not conquest but communion. They were the first to call themselves witches, though they never needed the word. And in the end, it is said that when their time came, in the oldest nights of the world, when the veil between life and death was as thin as spider silk, the witches of Thessaly learned that not all doors could be opened with words alone. Some demanded a deeper key, one forged in sacrifice, sealed in blood. It was Hecate herself who taught them this truth, not as cruelty but as necessity. For blood is memory. Blood is power. It is the thread that binds spirit to flesh, the echo of ancestors long forgotten, the price that all living things pay simply to exist. And when offered with intent beneath the gaze of the moon, it becomes more than life. It becomes a bridge between realms. The blood offering was never an act of violence for its own sake. It was a covenant, a communion between mortal and divine. The witches prepared for it with sacred care, cleansing their bodies and minds with smoke and salt, fasting beneath the dark moon until their spirits were hollow enough to receive what was to come. They chose their offerings not in cruelty but in reverence, a drop from their own veins, a feather soaked in the life of a bird that had sung its last song, or a handful of earth from a grave where bones had long turned to dust. Every element bore meaning, every gesture carried weight. On the appointed night, they gathered where three roads met, the place where Hecate's power pulsed strongest. Torches burned low and steady, casting long shadows that writhed and twisted like living things. The air grew heavy, charged with a silence that hummed just beneath hearing. Then as one, the witches cut their palms and let their blood fall into a stone bowl carved with sigils older than language. The ground seemed to tremble as crimson drops struck the earth, and the night itself shifted, folding inward as if something vast and unseen had turned its gaze upon them. It was then that Hecate came, not always in form, not always in flesh, but always in presence. A sudden gust might extinguish the torches, leaving only the cold light of the moon. A voice older than the world might echo in the air, speaking words that no tongue could shape. Sometimes a figure cloaked in shadow would appear at the crossroads, torchlight flickering in her eyes. And whether she spoke or simply was, the message was the same. The offering had been accepted. The bridge had been built. With that bridge came knowledge. Visions rippled through the witches' minds, glimpses of futures still unformed, whispers of names long forgotten, fragments of truths too vast to hold. Some wept, some laughed, some screamed as their mortal senses struggled to contain what they had touched. Yet all understood that they had stood in the presence of something greater than themselves, and that their blood had bound them more deeply to Hecate's will. They were no longer merely servants or seekers, they were part of the weave itself. But the blood offering was not without danger power. Once offered demands responsibility. The witches knew that to spill blood without purpose was to invite ruin. Many tales tell of those who ignored this warning, sorcerers who sought to bend Hecate's will for selfish ends, kings who drenched altars in blood to demand victory. Their offerings were met not with acceptance but with wrath. Storms rose without warning. Plagues swept through their lands. Some vanished entirely, swallowed by shadows that whispered their names as they dragged them into the dark. For blood given without balance is blood wasted, and the pact it forges turns upon its maker. Even now, long after the first covens have crumbled to dust, echoes of the blood offering survive. A pinprick of blood added to a charm, a drop spilled onto the earth in silence before a grave. Few understand the depth of what they do, yet the power lingers as if waiting for the world to remember the weight of its meaning. And on nights when the moon is new, and the air hums with unseen energy, there are those who still gather at forgotten crossroads and repeat the old rites, not out of superstition, but out of an instinct older than memory. For blood is more than life. It is the story written beneath the skin, the link between past and present, mortal and divine. And in the hands of Hecate's daughters, it is the language through which they speak to the darkness. The blood offering is not about death. It is about the cycle that binds all things, the endless dance of giving and receiving that keeps the cosmos from unraveling. It is the heartbeat of magic itself, pulsing in the shadows where the torchlight flickers. So when the night grows silent and the wind holds its breath, when the stars themselves seem to lean closer, listen. You may hear the whisper of blood falling into earth, the sound of a pact renewed once more, and know that somewhere beyond sight Hecate watches, torch in hand, eyes aglow, keeper of the ancient covenant between shadow and flame. There are places in the cosmos where even the gods hesitate to tread. Places where silence reigns, where the air itself seems to hold its breath, and where the weight of eternity presses heavy on every shadow. This is the underworld, the realm beneath realms, the resting place of the countless dead and the cradle of forgotten power. It is a land not of fire and torment as mortal fears would paint it, but of memory, consequence, and balance. And at the threshold of this vast and terrible place stands Hecate, holding 3 keys forged from the bones of creation itself. The first key is silver, bright as moonlight on still water. It opens the gate between the world of the living and the world of the dead, allowing the souls of mortals to pass from flesh into shadow. With it, Hecate guides those who have breathed their last across the veil, ensuring that they do not wander lost or fall prey to hungering spirits. It is a key of mercy, though its touch is cold and its turning is final. No mortal hand may wield it, for it is bound to the rhythm of life and death itself. The second key is black as the void between stars, carved from the silence that existed before the first word was spoken. It unlocks the pathways that lie deeper still, the places where memory sleeps and forgotten things dream. With this key, Hecate moves through the hidden chambers of the underworld, seeking truths buried even from the eyes of the divine. It is said that she uses this key to bind ancient horrors that once sought to crawl back into the world above, and to seal away the names that should never again be spoken. It is a key of secrets, and its weight is heavier than any crown. The third key is forged of both silver and black, light and void entwined. It is the most mysterious of all, and even the gods do not know all that it unlocks. Some say it opens the way to rebirth, turning death into beginning and ending into renewal. Others whisper that it grants Hecate dominion over fate itself, allowing her to unweave the threads of destiny and spin them anew. Whatever its true purpose, none but she may hold it, for it is the key that binds the other two, the one that holds the balance steady. With these three keys, Hecate alone commands the thresholds of existence. She opens the gates for the dead to pass and closes them to keep the living safe. She seals the darkness that must never wake and unseals the memories that the world is ready to remember. And she stands watch over the final door, the one that opens not outward but inward into the soul itself. Those who seek forbidden knowledge sometimes call to her, offering blood or devotion in exchange for a glimpse beyond the veil. Most receive nothing but silence. A rare few hear the turning of a lock and find themselves standing in places no living mind was meant to see. But even Hecate's keys have their limits. They do not grant immortality, nor do they reverse the finality of death. They are not weapons to defy the natural order, but instruments to preserve it. Those who try to steal them, mortal or divine, find themselves erased from the weave of time. Their names unspoken, their deeds undone. The keys cannot be taken, they cannot be forged anew. They are as eternal as the crossroads and as unyielding as the laws that govern existence. Legends tell of a night when the gates of the underworld stood ajar, and the dead began to stir. Shadows walked among the living and the balance trembled. It was Hecate who descended with her keys and sealed the breach, restoring the boundary that holds the worlds apart. From that night onward, the dead have feared her even as they follow her light, for they know that none can cross without her leave. She is their guide and their warden, their liberator and their jailer, and her keys are the measure of their fate. And yet, the keys are not meant only for the dead. They remind the living too of the truths they try to forget. That all roads lead to the same gate, that every breath is borrowed, and that what lies beyond is not an end but a continuation. In this, Hecate offers not despair but understanding. The keys do not promise escape from death, they promise that death too has a place in the order of all things. So when the wind grows cold and the night deepens into silence, when you dream of doors you cannot see and hear the turning of unseen locks, remember this: Hecate walks the threshold still, her three keys glinting in the torchlight. She stands at the gates you will one day reach, waiting not as an enemy but as a guide. And when the time comes, she will unlock the path before you, not with mercy, not with malice, but with the inevitability of the tide returning to the shore. For she is the keeper of the keys, and every soul must one day pass through the door she...
There are moments when the veil between worlds grows thin, when the silence of the underworld hums like a hidden song, and the air itself seems to hold its breath in those moments. Hecate speaks, not in thunder or fire, but in whispers that drift through shadow like falling ash. These are the words of the oracle, the threads of prophecy woven before time had meaning. They are not meant to be shouted, they are not meant to be understood easily. They slip into the dreams of mortals and the fears of gods, shaping destiny without ever revealing its full shape, and always they bear the mark of the one who speaks them. Hecate, torchbearer, keeper of Crossroads, daughter of the night. Long before temples rose and priestesses cast bones upon sacred altars, Hecate was the voice that echoed in the dark. She spoke to the first seers beneath the silver eye of the moon, teaching them how to listen beyond sound, how to see beyond sight. She taught them that prophecy is not a gift freely given. It is a burden heavy as iron and sharp as a blade. Those who carried her whispers found their minds forever changed. They spoke in riddles and fragments of dreams and glimpses of futures yet to be born. Some were revered as wise, others shunned as mad. Yet all were touched by the same power. The voice of Hecate moving through them like a storm, through still air. The oracle's whisper does not reveal the future as mortals wish it to. It does not speak of certainty or offer the comfort of control. Instead, it shows possibilities, branching paths that twist and coil like roots beneath the earth. It speaks of choices and consequences, of roads that must be walked and doors that must remain closed. Often it comes not as words but as visions. A crow perched on a blood-soaked altar, a torch flickering before a sealed gate, a shadow stretching longer than the light that casts it. Each image is a thread, and together they weave the tapestry of what may come. The witches of Thessaly knew this truth well. They sought Hecate's whispers not to rule fate but to understand it. They fasted and prayed beneath the dark moon, inhaled the smoke of sacred herbs, and listened in silence until the world itself seemed to fade. And when the whisper came, they did not rush to speak it aloud. They carried it like a living thing, unfolding its meaning slowly, carefully over days and nights. For to speak prophecy too soon is to break it. To misinterpret it is to invite ruin. There are stories of kings who begged for Hecate's guidance, offering gold, temples, even blood in exchange for her words. Most were met with silence. A few were granted whispers they could not understand, and in their arrogance they ignored them. Their empires fell, their names vanished from memory. Hecate does not offer prophecy to flatter kings or soothe fears. She speaks only when the balance demands it. And her words are always true, though truth is rarely what mortals wish it to be. Even the gods have sought her whispers. When Olympus trembled under the weight of its own pride, they turned to Hecate and asked what was to come. She answered them not with comfort, but with a warning. All thrones fall, all fires fade, all roads end. Some mocked her for it, some feared her, but none forgot her words. And in the ages that followed, as kingdoms crumbled and stars burned out, they remembered that prophecy is not a shield but a mirror, showing not what will be, but what must be faced. The whisper does not always come from beyond. Sometimes it rises from within. Stirred by the presence of Hecate's torchlight, it may come as a sudden certainty that cannot be explained. A dream that lingers long after waking. A voice in the stillness calling a name you have never spoken. It may be gentle as falling snow or sharp as a blade pressed to the skin. But once heard, it cannot be forgotten. It will follow you, shape you, haunt you, until the choice it speaks of is made. And so the oracle's whisper endures, threading its way through ages and empires, slipping past walls and kings and the arrogance of gods. It is carried in the breath of witches and the prayers of the desperate, hidden in the rustle of leaves and the howl of wolves.
It is the heartbeat beneath the silence, the thought that flickers just before sleep. It is the voice that calls to every soul as they stand at the crossroads. Choose, walk, become. For Hecate does not speak to tell you what will be. She speaks to remind you that you have always been part of the story, and that the road you choose now will echo long after the stars have gone dark. Listen closely. The whisper is already there, waiting in the silence. It has always been there, patient and eternal, carrying the weight of all that was and all that may yet come. There comes a night each year when the air grows heavier than breath, when the moon burns blood red above the earth, and the silence hums like a living thing. On that night, the daughters of Hecate gather in secret places. Crossroads deep in forgotten forests, stone circles carved into the bones of ancient hills, caves where the echoes of the dead still whisper. It is the night of sacrifice, the oldest and most sacred of rites, when the veil between the worlds grows so thin that even the stars seem to tremble. It is not a night of cruelty or slaughter, as fearful mortals have long believed. It is a night of balance, of offering, of giving back what has been taken. A night to honor the bond that binds life, death, and the power that flows between them. The preparations begin long before the moon reaches its crimson peak. For 13 nights the witches fast and purify themselves, cleansing their bodies and spirits with smoke, salt, and silence. They gather herbs that grow only under moonlight, water drawn only at midnight, and bones unearthed from graves untouched by sunlight. Every detail matters, for this is not a rite of mortals but of the cosmos itself. It is said that even the gods pause their wars and schemes on this night, watching from afar as Hecate's daughters renew the covenant that keeps the worlds from unraveling. When the appointed night arrives, the witches cloak themselves in black and walk barefoot to the place of gathering. No torch is lit, no word is spoken, for this is a journey of reverence. As they arrive, they form a circle around a stone altar worn smooth by countless generations. At its center burns a single flame, a spark said to have been kindled by Hecate herself in the first days of creation. It is the heart of the ritual, the bridge between what is seen and what is hidden. The offerings are many and varied. Some bring wine and honey, symbols of life's sweetness. Others bring bones or ashes, reminders of death's inevitability. And always there is blood. Not the blood of unwilling victims, but the willing sacrifice of the witches themselves. Each cuts her palm and lets the crimson drops fall onto the altar, mingling with the earth and the offerings laid there. As the blood seeps into the stone, the air changes. The wind dies, the night deepens, and a presence older than time itself stirs in the darkness. It is then that Hecate comes. Sometimes she appears as a figure cloaked in shadow, her torches blazing with light that casts no warmth. Sometimes she is nothing more than a whisper, a ripple in the air that brushes against the skin like a ghost's breath. However she manifests, her presence fills the space, vast and absolute. The witches kneel not in fear but in devotion, and speak the ancient words, words that bind their blood, their breath, and their will to hers. Through these words the balance is renewed. The living remember their debt to the dead. The dead acknowledge their bond to the living, and the worlds remain in harmony. Yet the night of sacrifice is not without risk. It is said that if the ritual falters, if the offerings are insincere, or the circle is broken, the veil may tear and the dead may pour forth unchecked. Entire villages have vanished into shadow when arrogance or ignorance led mortals to mock the rite. For the sacrifice is not merely blood. It is humility, a recognition that power is borrowed, not owned, and that even the mightiest must bow before the laws that govern existence. When the final words are spoken, and the last drop of blood is spilled, the flame at the altar flares brighter than the sun. It burns with colors no mortal eyes were meant to see. Black and silver, gold and violet, each hue a thread in the tapestry of creation. Then slowly, it fades back to a single ember. The witches rise in silence, knowing that the pact has been renewed, that the roads between worlds will hold for another year. They leave their offerings behind and depart one by one, disappearing into the forest shadows as dawn creeps over the horizon. To outsiders, the night of sacrifice is a tale of fear, a story whispered to children to keep them indoors after dark. But to those who walk the path of Hecate, it is something far greater. It is a reminder that power demands respect, that life and death are partners, not enemies, and that the darkness is not a thing to be feared, but a force to be honored. It is a night of blood and silence, of endings and beginnings, of shadows that do not destroy but sustain. And so year after year, beneath the blood-red moon, the daughters of Hecate gather. They offer what must be given. They speak the words that must be spoken, and the balance holds. For as long as the night of sacrifice endures, the torch of Hecate will never fade, and the world...
Not all who walked beneath Hecate's torches remained true. Among the countless daughters who swore their lives to her, there was one whose hunger outgrew her devotion, a witch whose name was spoken with reverence and fear, and whose fall would echo through centuries. She had been the first among them, the most gifted of Thessaly's circle, and the one whom others called the Witch Queen. Hecate had trusted her above all, revealing secrets not spoken even to the gods, granting her the power to walk between worlds and command spirits with a single word. But power is a dangerous thing, and even devotion can wither beneath its weight. The Witch Queen began as a faithful servant. She led the rites with unwavering precision, guided covens through the darkest rituals, and spoke Hecate's whispers with a clarity that even the oracles envied. It was she who opened the first gates to the underworld and sealed the first pacts with the dead. Mortals and immortals alike sought her counsel, and her name was carried by wind and shadow to the farthest corners of the earth. But with each new gift she received, with each secret Hecate shared, something inside her began to change. What had once been devotion became pride. What had once been service became desire. She began to wonder why she, who had mastered so much, should kneel before any power, even one as vast as Hecate. Why should she offer blood and breath to a goddess when she herself could command storms and shadows? These thoughts grew like roots in her mind, twisting deeper with each passing season, until reverence curdled into resentment. She stopped leading the rites, she stopped speaking the words, and one night, beneath a moon as dark as pitch, she made her choice. The betrayal was not a single act, but a series of deliberate defiance. She forged her own circle in secret, teaching her followers to summon spirits without Hecate's blessing, to bend the dead to their will without offering sacrifice.
She tore pages from forbidden grimoires and twisted them into weapons. She spoke Hecate's sacred names aloud, names meant to remain unspoken, and tried to bind their power to herself. In doing so, she tore small rents in the veil between worlds, letting things crawl through that should have remained buried shadows. Began to walk where none should walk. Graves stirred, the balance trembled. When Hecate learned of the betrayal, the earth itself seemed to recoil. Wolves howled without reason, rivers turned black with ash, and the air grew heavy with the scent of burning herbs. She did not rage, she did not thunder, she simply descended from the crossroads into the mortal world. Her torches blazing brighter than they ever had. The Witch Queen met her there, cloaked in darkness and pride, her followers arrayed behind her like an army. She did not bow, she did not beg. She raised her hands and spoke words of binding, words meant to shackle even the gods. But Hecate only watched the spells turn to ash on the wind before they reached her. The shadows recoiled from her light, and when she spoke, it was not with fury but with sorrow. She did not strike the Witch Queen down with fire or chain her in the depths of the underworld. Instead, she reached into the weave of existence and erased her from it. Her name was unspoken, her deeds were forgotten, her face was lost even to memory. Only the faintest echo remained, a warning carried on the breath of the night. Betrayal carries a price that cannot be undone. The coven scattered, their power shattered like glass beneath Hecate's gaze. Those who repented were spared, though their gifts were diminished. Those who clung to their defiance vanished as their queen had, swallowed by the void where even shadows cannot reach. And though new covens rose and fell in the centuries that followed, none dared speak of the one who had turned against their goddess. Her story survived only as a caution whispered by torchlight, a reminder that even the most powerful witch is nothing without the will that grants her strength. Yet some say the Witch Queen is not truly gone. They claim that on nights when the moon is dark and the wind carries no sound, her presence lingers at the edges of the crossroads. They say a cold voice sometimes calls from the shadows, offering forbidden knowledge to those reckless enough to listen. And they say that if one follows that voice too far, they do not return. Whether these tales are truth or mere fear is unknown, but all who walk Hecate's path know this. Betrayal leaves a wound that even time cannot fully heal. The Witch Queen's fall changed everything. It hardened the rites, deepened the oaths, and etched the lessons of balance more deeply into the hearts of Hecate's daughters. Power is a gift, but it is also a chain. And those who seek to wield it without understanding, without reverence, will find that the torch that lights their path can just as easily consume them. Such is the legacy of the Witch Queen. There was a time when the world was still young, when the skies had not yet settled into their courses, and the gods themselves were still carving their thrones from chaos. In those days, power shifted like sand in a storm, and alliances were as fragile as spider silk. The Olympians had risen from blood and rebellion, overthrowing the Titans and claiming dominion over heaven and earth. Their thrones glittered atop Mount Olympus. Their voices thundered across the world, and they believed themselves untouchable. But there was one among the old powers they could not command, one who did not bow, did not kneel, and did not fear them. Her name was Hecate, and she stood at the crossroads of their ambitions, as immovable as the darkness itself. At first, they tried to win her favor. Zeus sent envoys draped in lightning and gold, offering temples and sacrifices if she would lend her power to their rule. Poseidon promised her dominion over the seas, and Apollo spoke of weaving her name into the songs of the sun. But Hecate listened in silence and offered no answer. She had watched gods rise and fall before them, had seen empires crumble into dust and stars burn themselves to ash. Their promises were nothing to her. She belonged to no throne. Her realm was older and deeper than theirs. It was the space between, the silence that holds the worlds apart. Frustrated by her indifference, the Olympians turned to threats. Hermes whispered of binding her power with chains forged from celestial fire. Athena spoke of weaving a spell that would strip her of her torches. Even Ars, drunk on his own bloodlust, dreamed of leading a war against her. But none dared act, for they knew the truth whispered among the oldest of them, that Hecate's wrath was not like theirs. It did not roar, it did not rage, it consumed, and once unleashed, it could not be contained. Still, arrogance blinds even the wise one night. Beneath a sky split with storm, the Olympians sent their champions to seize her, warriors born of divine blood and armed with weapons forged in the heart of Olympus itself. They descended upon the crossroads where Hecate walked, thinking to catch her unprepared. But when they arrived, the night itself rose against them. The wind screamed, the earth split, and shadows clawed at their armor. Hecate stepped from the darkness, her torches burning not with fire but with the light of creation's first dawn and the void that came before it. With a single gesture, she shattered their weapons into dust. With a single word, she bound them in silence. Themselves descended then, their power shaking the world. Thunder roared as Zeus hurled bolts of living fire. The seas rose at Poseidon's command, and Apollo's arrows blazed with the light of 1,000 suns. But Hecate did not falter. She called upon the forgotten forces that existed before the Olympians had names. The primal currents of night and shadow, the deep breath of the underworld, the hidden heartbeat of fate. Darkness and light bent to her will, twisting around her like a living storm. Mountains crumbled, rivers turned to mist. Even the stars seemed to flicker in fear. The battle raged for 9 days and 9 nights, though in truth no mortal measure could capture its span. In the end, it was not brute force that decided the outcome, but understanding. Hecate knew the nature of power better than any of them. She knew that it is not something that can be seized or stolen. It is a balance, a breath, a weight that must be carried. And so, rather than destroy the Olympians, she showed them their own reflection, their arrogance, their hunger, their fear. The light of Zeus fought in the heart of the underworld, beyond the reach of mortal eyes and divine hands. There is a library carved into the bones of the cosmos. Its walls are older than mountains, its shelves lined with scrolls and tomes that hum with the pulse of creation itself. Most who speak of it believe it to be a myth, a dream born of fear and longing. But the witches of Thessaly knew it was real, for they had seen its shadow in their visions and heard whispers of its keeper in their dreams. And at the center of that impossible library, sealed in chains of silver and shadow, lies the forbidden grimoire. A book said to contain the first words ever spoken, the spells that shape the worlds and the truths that even the gods fear to know. It is said that the grimoire was not written but woven. Its pages formed from the fabric of reality, its ink drawn from the blood of stars. Its words carved into existence by Hecate herself before mortals knew language. Before gods named the constellations, these words burned through the void, calling matter from nothingness and life from silence. They are not spells as witches know them now. They are the bones of magic, the heartbeat of creation. And to speak even one aloud is to touch the raw essence of existence and risk being consumed by it. The grimoire was never meant for mortal hands. Hecate sealed it within the deepest chamber of her library, bound it with curses that could turn the boldest soul to ash, and set guardians older than the underworld itself to watch over it. For the knowledge within is not merely dangerous, it is irresistible. To know the true words is to bend reality to one's will. To misuse them is to tear the fabric of the world apart. Even the gods, with all their arrogance, have never dared to claim it. They know that its power is beyond even their reach. But mortals are not so wise. Across centuries, witches, kings, and madmen have sought the forbidden grimoire. Some offered prayers, others offered blood, a few offered their very souls, most were never heard from again. They vanished into the folds of the world, erased from memory as if they had never existed. Those few who returned spoke only in riddles, their minds shattered by what they had glimpsed. One whispered of words that burned their tongue to speak. Another screamed of doors that opened not outward but inward, revealing a darkness deeper than any void. None could say more before death claimed them. And yet, the grimoire has been opened. Not by hands or tools, but by those deemed worthy. Hecate chooses them rarely, and never for the reasons mortals might expect. She does not seek power-hungry sorcerers or arrogant kings. She chooses those who understand that knowledge is not a weapon but a weight, that to wield creation's breath is to bear its burden. These chosen few do not read the book as mortals read, they listen. The grimoire does not speak in words but in visions, in truths that unfold like stars being born. And once it has spoken, it cannot be forgotten. Legends tell of one such witch, a nameless daughter of Thessaly, who was brought before the grimoire after a lifetime of service. It showed her the first moment of existence, the breath that gave birth to time, and the shadow that will one day consume all things. It revealed to her the thread that connects every soul, every choice, every heartbeat. And
when she returned from the library, she spoke no spells, claimed no throne. She simply walked into the forest and vanished, her work complete. Some say she became part of the weave itself. Others believe she still walks the crossroads, guiding those who seek knowledge with hearts untainted by greed. The forbidden grimoire remains sealed, its pages waiting in silence for the next to be called. And perhaps it is better that way, for the world is not ready for the truths it holds. Truths that could unmake gods and shatter stars, yet it is comforting to know that it exists. That there is a place where the oldest knowledge still sleeps, waiting for the one who is meant to wake it. On nights when the moon is dark and the air hums with unseen power, witches still whisper prayers to the keeper of the grimoire. They do not ask to open it. They ask only for the wisdom to know and not to try. For some doors once opened can never again be closed, and some knowledge once known can never again be forgotten. The forbidden grimoire is one such door, the greatest of all, and the most dangerous. And Hecate stands before it still, torch in hand, watching, guarding, waiting for the one who will one day prove worthy of its terrible light.
The world has changed 1,000 times since Hecate first walked beneath the stars. Empires have risen and turned to dust, languages have been born and forgotten, and the prayers of mortals have shifted from firelit groves to glowing screens. Yet through every change, through every breath of history, Hecate has endured. She has never needed temples or sacrifices to exist. She is older than worship, deeper than belief. And though her name may no longer be whispered in every village or carved into every altar, her presence still lingers. Not as it once did, but hidden in plain sight, woven into the heartbeat of the modern world. She is there in the quiet spaces where choices are made, the hospital corridor where life and death balance on a knife's edge, the courtroom where a single decision alters countless fates, the street corner where a soul stands trembling between ruin and redemption. These are her crossroads now, and though no torch lights them, her gaze is still there. Every moment of decision, every turning point carries her breath. And those who listen closely may still hear the faintest whisper of her voice urging them forward, not commanding, not demanding, but guiding, as she always has. She is there in the shadows of the cities where neon lights cast the same pale glow that the moon once did on forgotten groves. Witches still walk among us. Though they wear no cloaks and carry no staffs, they move through crowded streets and digital worlds, weaving spells from words and will rather than smoke and bone. Some speak her name openly, reviving the old rites in new forms. Others never speak it at all, yet unknowingly walk the path she laid long ago. For every act of transformation, every moment when darkness is embraced not as evil but as balance, bears her mark. And though the modern world scoffs at gods and spirits, it cannot deny what it does not understand. Dreams still come unbidden, filled with visions that feel older than memory. People still speak of strange encounters at the edges of sleep, of a presence watching from the corner of the room, of choices that feel guided by something beyond reason. Psychologists call it instinct, poets call it fate. But those who walk the old ways know it is Hecate, standing where she always has, at the threshold between what is and what could be. Even the technology that now defines humanity's reach has not diminished her. Some say that the endless streams of data, invisible and omnipresent, are the new rivers of the underworld, carrying memory and identity beyond the boundaries of flesh. And in those unseen currents, Hecate walks, guiding the flow as she once guided souls across the Styx in the glow of a screen at midnight, in the silence of a world connected yet alone. She is there, patient, watchful, unchanging. The witches of Thessaly are gone, their groves swallowed by time, but their descendants are not. They gather in virtual circles, sharing knowledge through networks instead of whispered chants, blending ancient symbols with modern thought. Their altars are smaller now, a candle on a windowsill, a bowl of water beside a laptop, but the devotion is the same. And when they call upon Hecate, she answers as she always has, for she does not belong to the past. She belongs to the spaces between, and those spaces exist everywhere, even in the heart of the modern age. Yet her presence is not without warning. Just as the Crossroads once demanded choice, so too does the modern world. The tools humanity has built are powerful, but power is always a double-edged blade. It can illuminate or destroy, create or corrupt. Hecate reminds those who listen that progress without wisdom is as dangerous as magic without balance. She does not reject the new age, but she does not bow to it either. She watches from the shadows, ready to guide or to burn, depending on what humanity chooses to become. So when you stand on the edge of a decision, when the world hums around you and the weight of what comes next presses heavy on your chest, know this: you are not alone. The daughter of the night still walks beside you, unseen yet ever present. She has guided queens and beggars, heroes and traitors, witches and wanderers, and she will guide you too, if you have the courage to listen. For Hecate has not vanished, she has not faded. She has simply changed her shape as she has always done, becoming what the world needs her to be. And though the groves are gone and the torches burn in different forms, she still stands at every crossroads, still holds the keys to every unseen door, still whispers in the silence before the choice is made. The night is hers, now as it was then. And if you lift your eyes to the moon, whether it shines above a forest or a city skyline, you will feel her watching, waiting, and walking beside you, as she always has, and always will.
There is a place where all roads meet, not of stone or soil, not mapped by cartographers or measured by mortal steps. It is the place where every choice converges, where every soul stands at least once, trembling before the weight of what has been and what might yet be. It is not a place that can be seen, yet it shapes everything that is. This is the eternal Crossroads, and it is here that Hecate's legacy is written. Not in ink or stone, but in the beating hearts of all who walk the paths of existence. Long before the Olympians claimed their thrones, before mortals carved their first words into clay, Hecate understood that all power begins and ends with choice. Every spell, every life, every destiny is born from the moment one road is chosen over another. That moment, fragile and fleeting, yet infinite in its consequences, sacred. And so she made the Crossroads her domain, the space between spaces, where every decision is both an ending and a beginning. She did not seek worship. She sought understanding, for in the act of choosing lies the deepest form of magic. The eternal Crossroads is not bound to any one realm. It threads through the mortal world and the divine, through the waking mind and the dreaming soul. A soldier on the eve of battle stands there, sword trembling in his hand. A mother choosing between truth and comfort stands there, tears burning her eyes.
a witch, torch in hand, deciding whether to speak the forbidden words, she too stands there. And in each of those moments, whether they know it or not, Hecate is near. She does not choose for them. She does not judge, she simply is, watching with eyes that have seen the birth and death of stars, holding the torch that illuminates the paths before them. And yet, the crossroads is more than choice, it is connection. Every road that meets there is tied to another. Every step taken ripples outward into the lives of countless others. Hecate understood this web, this vast invisible tapestry, and became its keeper. She is the one who sees how a whisper in the dark can reshape an empire, how a single act of kindness can echo for generations, how even despair can give birth to hope. She is the thread that binds beginnings to endings, endings to beginnings, and reminds all who stand there that no choice is ever truly isolated. Her legacy lives not in temples or monuments, but in those who walk her path, witches who light candles at the new moon, seekers who speak to the night in silence, dreamers who embrace darkness not as evil but as part of the whole. All of them carry her flame every time someone stands at a threshold and dares to step forward. Every time someone faces the unknown and chooses to trust their path, Hecate's torch burns anew. Even those who do not know her name still walk beneath her gaze, for every road leads eventually to her crossroads. And though ages have passed and gods have risen and fallen, Hecate remains. She is the darkness before dawn and the first light that breaks it. She is the silence before a choice is made and the echo that follows. She is the guardian of thresholds, the keeper of keys, the daughter of the night who holds the world's most fragile and powerful truth in her hands. That destiny is not a chain but a choice. Some say that at the end of all things, when stars burn out and the last breath is drawn, all roads will lead once more to her there. At the final crossroads, every soul will stand not to be judged, but to understand. And in that moment they will see that every choice they made, every fear they faced, every shadow they embraced was part of a greater weaving. One that Hecate has tended since the first spark of creation. And perhaps if they listen closely, they will hear her voice, soft as starlight, steady as the turning of the moon, whispering not commands, but truth. You were never alone. You were always walking beside me, and in that final breath, as the torchlight fades and the roads stretch into infinity, they will know that Hecate's legacy is not a story told in the past. It is the breath of the present, the pulse of the future, and the eternal fire that burns wherever choice and destiny meet. For as long as there are crossroads, there will be Hecate. And as long as there is Hecate, there will be light in the darkness, guidance in uncertainty, and the promise that even in the deepest night, the way forward can always be found.